It would not have been possible to produce all of the sessions and content for Punchback Print and bring you all of this content for free without the help of our amazing sponsors. So without further ado, here is a quick word from one of them.
60% and 50% of the time that we spend reading newspapers and magazines respectively, our focus is spent solely on that medium. For example, newspaper ads are viewed 2.5 times longer than the average digital ad, and 81% of people have bought an item or visited a place after reading about it in a magazine.
So a big welcome to everybody at Punchback Print to the Xerox session where we're going to talk about the plus in the print world, but also the broader meaning of plus. If businesses are going to get noticed in the new world, the idea of differentiation, really driving that value add is going to be key. My name is Kevin O'Donnell, I'm the Head of Marketing for Graphic Communications at Xerox UK, and I'd like to introduce Ben Glazier. Ben is the Managing Director of Glazier Design, a creative agency based in London. So Ben, if print is looking for a big plus, one of the areas that's driven from is your side of the fence, the design community. Well, where does the design community see the plus in print today?
I think really it's the pinnacle of all the campaigns that we put together. So the tangibility of print, when that arrives with a customer, it has no parallel. And even where we've got integrated campaigns where we're working with digital and a large number of different media, print really, I think, is the pinnacle, because that's when the customer interacts with your product, they interact with your piece of collateral. And I think as we go through this period where people have been removed from certain parts of society for quite a while, I think we've got an opportunity to have impact when we present them with something that's beautifully printed, beautifully designed, beautifully created, and has thought process put into the product. And they've almost they've had a break, they've had a gap year, and their minds are fresh and they're ready to receive these messages. I think the tangibility of print is also a counterpoint to what they've done for the last few months, which is to spend their time mostly online.
Mm-hmm. And of course, when brands are thinking of communicating with clients, certainly for the last few years, digital has been maybe the thing that strikes first, whether that's through the perceived cost. But you see that in a slightly different way. Things don't end up in digital, do they?
That's right. I mean, the things work together. So part of your digital campaign is going to be reaching out to customers that you haven't spoken to before. You engage with them and you take them on a journey through whatever your story is. But at some point, they're going to interact with you physically. So that digital supports the interaction in the physical.
Mm-hmm. So could you give an example of that? Because I know you've worked on a number of campaigns recently that use both digital and print, and driven really impressive results for the client.
There's been a few things, certainly over this rather strange period. I'm thinking first of all of one that I received, not one that we designed. So at the start of this lockdown era, we all left our offices, went to our home offices, and the first thing we stopped receiving was all of the beautiful paper samples. One of the paper companies got in touch with us. I presume they wrote to every customer. They wrote to every customer and said, look, we've got your lovely new paper samples, but where are you? Come to this webinar, just have a view, it's great fun, we'll tell you all about the papers, no pressure. And of course, one of the things they did as part of the process was to say, well, okay, where would you like the paper book delivered? So they'd engage through the digital, first through an email, then through a webinar, and then part of the process was to get that touch point of getting my home address. So these beautiful paper samples arrived the morning that I was going to watch the webinar. And what a great way to get tangibility into my hands through a printed product.
Mm-hmm. And of course, print is one of those mediums that does touch the senses. It has that visual appeal, It has the tactile appeal as well. I mean, you can even put scent into print these days.
Well, we keep talking about it, and you can almost sense the touch of the paper, and print, of course, does have a smell. The number of people I see who open a book, it's real, and we enjoy that. And I think we were talking about earlier on today about how things like vinyl went away, and then they came back because they are tangible and they are real. There are some things you want to own and touch and feel.
Now we've been working together for a number of years now, and certainly you're one of the first agencies globally that we engage with our new Iridesse technology. Now, not clearly the session is not to sell Xerox technology, but certainly that technology opens up opportunities for using embellishments, different colours. And what's been your experience with? What's the opportunity?
Yeah, so one of our principles in design is to always give more. So you give more, and you know what, you get more. It's the old phrase, what goes around comes around. So if you put more effort into a job, if you put the effort into standing out, put effort into complexity and intrigue, you will get a better response rate because you trigger more senses, you trigger more thoughts in the person that receives it. But you can also get a better return on investment. One example from the early days of the Iridesse, where we were able to use metallic inks, we were asked to produce a black and white invitation for Stephen Hawking's memorial service at Westminster Abbey, which was fine. We could have just produced a black and white invitation, but we went away and thought about it and said, well, actually what we've got is this new machine that can print CMYK plus gold, plus silver, plus clear, plus white. So how can we use those little special embellishments to make this a better product? And that's our key. We always want to make something a better product so that it has an impact. So we created an invitation that had colour on it, and it had silver, and it had Stephen Hawking's thumbprint in clear ink superimposed over part of the invitation. Could have been a security feature, but actually it was just something fun. It was something of interest. But we also put a full colour leaflet into the envelope that the invitation went out with, and it had an appeal for the Stephen Hawking Foundation. And said, if you want to contribute to furthering the study of motor neurone disease and cosmology, make a small donation. And of course, the return on investment on that was that by the time we got around to the service at Westminster Abbey, they'd had thousands of pounds worth of donations through to the charity. So by giving a little more, they got a lot more. And for us as designers, it's so easy for us to be lazy, isn't it? We could just produce what the client asked for. But actually, if you always challenge the brief and always produce that little extra plus, that little extra thing that makes it an okay job, that's a great job. That's what makes a difference. So when you've got special dry inks like gold, how easy is it to then take a catalogue and add a little gold trim to it? Immediately you stand out. So I think my approach to it would be never take a brief for granted, never take norm for granted, always look for the plus, always look for what you can add, and you're going to get a greater response.
So in your experience, what would your advice be to both print companies, brands and agencies in embracing new capabilities and new technologies?
Unsurprisingly, it's communication. Printers and creatives need to talk to each other. Printers have these fantastic machines, they're all capable of amazing things, running clear and long sheet sizes, but the creatives don't necessarily know about it, so you've got to educate them. The creatives might be sitting there waiting for information to come in and might just never arrive, so they never hear about these things. So I'd encourage two things. First thing is that printers need to reach out to all the creatives who are giving them work and just tell them what amazing skills you've got. When you get a print quote request in and it says CMYK, go back and say, well, it would look great CMYK, but you know what, we could run silver for about 4% more on that. Would that make a better impact for your client? So that's the printer saying, okay, challenging the brief again and adding a plus. For the creatives, reach out to the printers, find out what they're doing, find out what special effects they've got, because it's you're the ones going out and selling to the clients. You're selling these special effects and you're selling this print work. The printers aren't necessarily even in contact with your clients. So, for creatives, go and talk to the printers right at the start of the job.
Mhm.
Say, look, we've got a thing here. How can we make this really special? What can we add to this that's going to make it pop? You need that wow effect. You need it to jump off the page. Because if we are all coming out of a difficult period, those people who come out first and make an impact and really stand out, the future is theirs.
So in doing that, you're putting yourself up maybe for as a printer, challenging your production capability or stretching you to the ends of the design capability. How do you think the education side of it should work? Who should be in the driving seat? Is it the printer or the agency or the brand?
Who's got the kit? Right, so the printers have got the kit. They know all the special effects. So the first place to start is if the printers really know their kit well and they know what it's capable of, they can share that information with creatives. It's not a war. As creative agencies, we love to hear new effects. We love to introduce them into the jobs that we're doing. We don't hear about them unless you talk to us. So when a printer supported by the parent company that supplies the print machines has education tools, share them with all the creatives around you. Talk to them, invite them in, have a beer over the print machine. Don't spill it in, but get people talking about, well, how did you manage to produce this? How did you get the metallic effect? That's incredible. It's got sheen, but it's digital. I thought that was a LIFO effect. So that kind of communication is what's going to drive those creatives to go to their clients and say, do you know what? We've got this new way of doing this, and you want to stand out? Okay, why don't we just do this? Just this little extra, this little plus, and then we can really make this stand out.
So a real collaborative.
You have to be collaborative. Because this isn't a war. This isn't about black and white briefs where you have to stick exactly to the script. I think we know as humanity comes out of any crisis, those people that are at the front of the entrepreneurs, the thinkers, the ones who are willing to challenge the norm. If the norm is stay at home, there's a few people who are thinking, stay at home, but do you know what I could do? I could do this, I could do this. So you've got new machines popping up, new technologies, new ways of doing things. And I think those creative minds and the people who provide the real stuff, the print, the tangible stuff that goes out to clients and convinces them, those work great together.
I remember a while ago you told me a story. I was thinking about the adding value and sometimes the reticence of asking for more or suggesting something that may put distance between the printer and the agency or the agency and the brand. That idea of asking more, but doing it in a way that enhances and really does add value. And you were telling me a story about one of your professional services businesses in Hong Kong. And you were doing a brochure for them, and you were adding you took the idea of adding some embellishment to it.
So it was a law firm, really boring, and what they were doing, tier 1, tier 2 visas. So these are investor visas where people move from a country to the UK, invest a load of money in our economy, and they can earn themselves a visa through the process. And this law firm, based in London, wanted to go out to Hong Kong, talk to people out there about coming to the UK. So we looked at the marketplace. They wanted to produce a 4-page leaflet and some nice business cards, a little brochure. And it could have been CMYK, digital, nice, beautiful, standard stuff, nice business cards. But we thought, okay, we've got access to this machine. Let's use the gold capability. Gold with a little bit of clear on it to give it a sheen. So we added personalised sections into the leaflet, so that not only were they getting a leaflet in CMYK plus gold, they also had it addressed to them with their name using variable data, which is great. And then we had a stack of those that were generic so that they could be handed out. But it had a lift to it because of the gold. It had a little punch, a little wow effect to it, and that attracted people's attention. Likewise with the business cards. Instead of just producing normal flat business cards, we put photographs of the member of staff onto the business card and put gold onto that as well. Subtly, not sort of bling shining up, but just a subtle effect. And what it meant was that when they handed over the card that said on the back of it, I met you at so-and-so, that was personalised straight away. Went with the leaflet. And do you know what? It cost a little bit more, but the client, I think, saw such a return on investment that they stuck to that.
So and that's now become the standard.
It's now become their norm. So every time they go and do an event, they do personalised business cards for that event, and they do the leaflets personalised. So nothing's generic anymore. And that's what you can do with digital, with this quicker way of thinking. You can have flexibility, you can have variable text, you can, if you're going to an event, you're going to meet 200 people, you only print 250 brochures, but they are personalised for that event. And that's the beauty of it.
It'll be wonderful when we can all do that again.
Yeah.
So the plus, there's a great example of adding plus and the process of getting to it. But we've said with the embellishments that can be done with digital technologies today, also the format sizes and the sort of substrates that can be used. Really highly creative substrates that again add that tactile feel.
Well, we came up with a plan for someone just a few months ago, just called it Anything But White. So we printed all of their collateral on anything but white. So there was stuff printed on blue, stuff printed on red, and the silver and the gold and the white on the iridescent, they jump out of a beautiful red stock like Curious Skin. So we did a few projects like that. I just took an approach with this client that they could stand out for a bit, not forever. They just wanted to make an impact while they had a particular message that they wanted to get across.
So I'm now joined by Ben, who's going to talk to me a little bit about an amazing project that his organization has been doing with NASA to celebrate the moon landings. So Ben, can you just tell us a little bit about that project and why it relates to the questions we've been talking about today, and really our industry should understand it and sort of just stimulate their thinking a little bit?
It was a really enjoyable project to get to work with some of the Apollo astronauts, people who went to the moon, people who returned safely. That has to have been a dream of a lifetime for so many people. But what we managed to do with this project was to put layers and layers and layers of information into the stamps and into the products that went around it. And we couldn't have done those layers and layers of information without knowing the print processes. So one of the most useful things that printers can do for me when I'm facing a project like that is to tell me all the little secrets, all the little tips and tricks that they've been hiding away in their machines, that they've got from their suppliers, new techniques, ways of hiding messages. So we've hidden all kinds of messages in those stamps. There are binary codes, there's the names of the crew, and with various sets of stamps, we've also sort of hidden UV ink messages. We've used clear layers to add a different sheen. We've added metallics in. If I don't know about those, then I can't include them in the job. So when we first start a job, we talk to our printers. We talk to all the guys who are going to work on this specific project, but we also talk to, well, to be honest, anyone who gives us a call, because everyone's got a little bit of information that's going to make our project better. And if you remember that it's us that sells the project to the client, I need that information from printers to be able to sell that project to the client. So for example, when we started hiding messages in different UV inks on stamps, our designers could have quite easily gone off and created all of these nice messages. We did them on the 2001 A Space Odyssey stamps. We put a whole load of messages in yellow UV activated ink. So you need a black light shining on the stamp to read the message. We would have just gone ahead and put them on, but it was the insight from the printers that allowed us to understand that with special inks like that, you have to put them on special areas of the stamp so that there isn't a black surface underneath, so that you can actually read it. The light bounces through the stamp, fluoresces out, and then you get people who can then read the message. If we don't have that information, we can make a lot of mistakes. So what we do at the start of every project is talk to the printers involved and ask them, firstly, what's new? What else can we go and introduce to the Isle of Man government as a special technique that's going to get them one jump ahead of Royal Mail? And we just get their knowledge. One of the best ways of doing this is actually going round to the printers. So if there's any creatives watching, you really should go and see your printers. Printers, invite us in. Guaranteed we all like beer. So if you happen to have a quieter day on the press, a few bottles of beer there. We'll come around and see what all the secrets are. That's how this project started. We wouldn't have been hiding special messages in UV activated inks or clear if we hadn't been told that by one of the guys who was testing a very special machine. That's how it started. Where it came out, well, those stamps have gone everywhere. They went to presidents, even that one, kings, queens, and I actually got to hand a set of the stamps to Buzz Aldrin at an event last year. As a creative, to be able to hand over something that you'd come up with a concept for, something you'd worked on for months, to the very person whose footprint it was on one of the stamps. That first footprint wasn't actually Armstrong's, it was Buzz Aldrin's. To be able to hand that to him and see his reaction as he held that tangible print and asked if he could take it away with him, that really was fantastic. So thank you, printers, for all those little special effects. It made my dream come true, meeting Buzz Aldrin. As you possibly know from the talk, I was born during the moon landing while Buzz and Neil were walking around on the surface of the moon. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ben. That was really insightful and a really nice end to this session. So Ben and Kevin will now be ready for you. If you scroll down from this session, you will see there is a live Q&A taking place. Ask them your questions, get tips and tricks, find out more. If you've been inspired, ask them anything you want and they'll be there to answer your questions live right now. So yeah, head on over, and thank you everybody for your time today on this session.